Warning in effect for much of the state, including the Worcester Hills. We're going to talk about why that is and also discuss some of the impacts that are going to come even after the storm is over on Monday, as we have this high wind watch in effect everywhere else. So our storm, although it's just beginning now and the rain, snow and ice is over tomorrow afternoon, there is reason to be vigilant even into the start of the week. So let's jump into it, and we're taking a look here at our radar, which is showing snow across the region. And as we move into the later hours of tonight and into tomorrow morning, we're going to stick with just snow. So it's pretty straightforward as we start things off. You know, New England, we're used to getting some big snow, but the problem comes in the morning when this snow begins to transition. And by the way, in the last hour, I do have to mention, I've seen it become a lot more widespread and steady across the state. That's why you're seeing some more of these darker blue colors mix in. So if you're seeing snow, let me know what you're seeing. And if you're measuring, you can drop it in comments or send us your reports. I'd love to see, so we can get together a little report map and see where we're at in some towns. So I've seen some measurements as high as an inch so far. So through tonight, I mentioned we're used to snow. That's pretty straightforward, but it's tomorrow morning, here we are at 7 a.m., that we see some weather that we don't get as often here, and that's ice. And we're not just talking ice pellets, we get those a lot in New England too, but freezing rain, and it's going to create an icy glaze on surfaces, and that leaves me more concerned because you can shovel snow and you can get rid of sleet. It's just ice pellets, but that glaze, it's hard to get rid of. You really have to treat roads and all surfaces, and any areas you miss, you get that sheet of ice, and sometimes it's just even a tiny bit of black ice that causes things to be very slippery. So that's the concern here, starting in the morning, but only in the central part of the state and across portions of the North Shore, because the southeastern portions of our state, a little too warm. It's going to be rainy. A lot of slush out there, but not so much snow and ice once we get into the day. Here we are in the afternoon. We do transition to rain on the North Shore eventually, so I expect in the afternoon conditions slowly improve if you're out there, anywhere in Essex County, really. But as you can see in the Berkshires and in western and in central Mass and the Worcester Hills, we still have that pink color out there. That's your icy glaze, and that's really never going to go away. So we do have to watch out there especially. I'll mention before we get into that mixing, a good 1 to 3 inches of snow falls across most of the state south of the Pike. Along the Pike through Boston and farther north, there may be closer to 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. And then right along the Massachusetts-New Hampshire border and into northern New England, at least 6 inches. And some of those mountains, if you're skiing this week, by the way, they've already got 2 feet of snow on the ground. They may add another foot, at least some of those peaks, as we go through this storm. So great skiing weather after we get through the first couple days of the week. Let me show you that bigger concern I was talking about, though, and as mentioned, it's the ice. And what you're seeing here is a map depicting some of the higher ice totals, and you can see where those brighter pink colors, even those purple colors, show up here. That's where we have amounts that may be as high as a 1/4 inch and could even be a little bit higher than that. I've had some people asking how this compares to '08. If you're in Central Mass, you know what I'm referring to, that ice storm. That was about 17 years ago now. I don't expect this is going to be at that level, but half that level, not out of the question. You know, we're going to see some pretty big impacts, at least in terms of those slippery conditions and even power outages too. So road conditions, of course, those are going to be bad. Power outages and refreezing, though, we see that threat actually increase after the rain, the snow, the ice is out heading into Monday. And I'll show you why. After the storm's out, you know, with our storm systems, we get stronger winds after they begin to move away. When we get nor'easters, this one, not really a nor'easter, but when we get nor'easters, you know, the big snowstorms, when that wind comes back around the storm, you're able to really see the storm impacts increase. That's when, you know, I'm thinking back to 2015, when we had all those storms that went through. If you noticed, it was on the backside of those storms that we really had issues with power outages and blizzard conditions and all that. We're not talking about those conditions this time because the system moves away really quick. But on the backside, we get that burst of wind still. That won't change. And though we'll be looking at mostly sunny skies on Monday, that burst of wind will take some of the ice on the trees, and the extra weight combined with wind gusts as high as 55 miles per hour, that's going to cause some branches to fall, and that may take out some power lines. And that's the concern as we head into Monday, is that power outages will actually increase after the storm is out of here. And as far as refreezing goes, well, you have snowfall and then you have rain and ice fall on top of it. it's a good recipe for slush. And what's a good recipe for ice is when you put temperatures below freezing and keep them there for the rest of the week. So it's one of those storms, especially if you're on the South Shore around, I can think of growing up a lot on the South Shore, where we get snowy transition to rain and it just gets, slushy. But if you don't shovel it, it's all going to become a sheet of ice and it's going to be hard to get off. So consider taking care of this as soon as you can on Sunday, and you'll have pretty much the whole day. Because it's really going to become a much bigger issue if you let it sit there. So that's your overview of the storm. I'll also give you a little sneak peek at Thursday, by the way, because we've been talking about that potential for a second storm later this week. And while this storm easily has potential to drop over 6 inches of snow, the latest data that I'm seeing is the storm coming close but missing just to our south. Haven't we talked about that so far this winter? It's happened a couple times where the big snow just happens to miss. And you can see here, right around midday Thursday, our system has the potential to impact portions of the mid-Atlantic, but for the Northeast, while it still could shift north, again, we're a ways out, the more likely scenario is that it perhaps clips the southern portion of our region here. So coast of the Cape and Islands could certainly see some snow. It is likely the biggest impacts missed to our south as this goes out to sea. So just wanted to let you know in case you're looking for updates on that. But as a whole, that sort of summarizes our storm here. Like I said, I'd love to hear how much snow you're seeing. Once again, this isn't a storm that's going to, shut things down for days or anything like that. If you're in southeast Mass, this really begins to wrap up by 8, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Just wait for those roads to be cleared. If you're in the Boston area, into the North Shore, certainly nothing we haven't dealt with before, but you may want to stay off the roads until the afternoon because it will be a bit icy for a time. The bigger concerns are if you're in southern New Hampshire, southern Vermont through central and western Mass. That's where I would urge you to take caution at any time of day if you're hitting the roads. And if you don't have to travel, I just wouldn't until Monday. And even on Monday, you do have to watch out for potential for power outages in those parts of the state as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. I look forward to hearing your reports. We're expecting at least a few inches of snow tonight, and we'll be keeping an eye on any trends in the data that lead us to forecast changes. But the story remains the same, and I want to make sure that you're aware of it and staying safe. So let me know what you're seeing out there. Hopefully you can enjoy the snow while it's here, and we'll be keeping a close eye on Thursday for you. We'll see you back here for another web update at 10 o'clock. If you have any questions, you can send them to us, and I'll answer them for you too.